Hey, it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk, loaded into Fisherman's Bay here with my Panther M10 premium German tank with preferential matchmaking. You can see I'm at the top of the list. And with the two teams, we'll take a look at what we got going on here. But immediately, the first thing that'll jump out at you is we have three heavies on top, and they do not. So we are going to talk about match assessment. Call this one match assessment. We'll talk about how to assess a match, and then what you do after the assessment while the game starts to flow. So as we start on Fisherman's Bay, I think a lot of people are probably thinking, all right, Guido, more than likely the three heavies will be down here in the city, and you'll have some cats and dogs over here. And when you assess the enemy team, you might be thinking, well, the side over here on the west side is probably going to be pretty dangerous. If you've got two E25s back up in here sniping, maybe one of their guys comes up forward and starts spotting up in here. Could be a long day, potentially also E25s firing across over here. So that is the enemy's strength. Our strength is the heavies, probably in the town. Their strength is quite a few mediums, and then the two E25s and the T25 TDs, which could easily work up here. So as I assessed this situation and started headed off this way, I decided to go to the west, being in a top tier medium tank with lots of DPM. My plan is to counter their strength. So I've assessed their team. I have a good idea of what I think they're going to do. I have a good idea of what I think our tanks are going to do. And then as I watch our team move out, I'm getting actually quite a bit of help. You can see that the E25 and Type 58 are moving up. E25's over here taking up position. And what we need to do then is to counter their strength. The E25s are their strength, their TDs, which are going to be up in here. If we don't get somebody up here spotting these guys, then all this mess back here can't do anything. Now another option is to sit back and camp. You can see that we got the 67. I just fire on the run right there. I actually end up tracking that guy, I believe, or at least bouncing off of him. No real need to stop, although I did there just to make sure he would go away, but he got killed. And you see that because we're up here spotting me in this type, we're starting to work on their strength over here. And like I was saying earlier, another option is to potentially camp out here a little bit and let our heavies do their work, but you can see our heavies aren't that interested in pushing. They should be owning the place. And now the thing about this M10 is just how fast it fires. I carry quite a bit of gold in it. Glad I did with this KV. I make him miss just by sort of moving. If you sit there and point at them, they have a better chance of hitting. I have the E25 coming up behind me. He's going to get a hit, but I got him getting just trashed by the guys behind me. Turret's turned around a little bit. I know that the Hellcat had just fired, and it hits me, so I don't get around quite enough. I'll auto-aim that guy. This is interesting because I think he gets around the corner. I don't quite hit him. I actually hit the EZ8. His turret's damaged, probably because it was moving so slow. I don't know if you noticed that. I'll come around, take a hit. I know I'm going to get that one, no worries. I did not need gold. Would have been nice if I could have switched it out, but I didn't think about it. Light that guy on fire. 2 fires in a row is pretty nice. 1% kind of tearing me up. That's something an E25 can do if they tuck up into your side like that and you can't get them off you. They can fire quite fast. That's the first RNG that really went against me right there, to be honest. I missed that one. So what did we do right here? We got down in their face, me and the type, worked on them. We had lots of help back behind us. This was the strength of their team for the most part. Most of their good tanks were over here. We haven't seen the T25, which is the other concerning tank. Our heavies are starting to push through town. Now this game could have been won a couple ways, like I was talking about earlier. Had we camped here, the heavies probably would have cleaned up in the town and started to flank, and we could have been a little bit more careful. But as it was, we were able to see what the enemy had, get up into an advantageous position, and then meet their strength with enough strength of our own to take it on. Now the other thing about assessment is when I looked at the team that they had, a lot of newer players and not very good players, and right away I am assuming that they are not going to be very aggressive. In that situation there, I actually tried to auto-aim that Sherman. I should have just stopped and fired. This is cleanup time, so I missed out on a shot there. A better shot that I could have taken right there. And then the heavies are going to clean up in the town. The T25-2 is actually camping right there, back in that corner. There wasn't a whole bunch in town. Their other Tier 7, the T43, was over in town. They're hunting down the KV-2 at this time. There may have been a couple more cats and dogs, but the majority of what they had were all over here, which is what I suspected from the beginning of the game. Now, I will say that if their team had been better, a higher tier game potentially, and a much better team, I probably would not have been as aggressive over here with the same setup idea of us having a lot of heavies and not as much to take on their strength, because a better players and higher tier getting up in there, we could have got wrecked really badly. All right, so you do have to take into account when you're assessing a team, when you're assessing the enemy in a match, you have to take into account a little bit of the skill if you can. Some people don't run XVM, that's fine. That's up to them. You can do that also off of tank types. But if I had loaded into this and not had a good idea of the of the skill of the players and only the tank types, I probably would have been a lot more careful pushing on that west side. So, it's a personal decision, run it or not. And it doesn't always indicate what's going to happen. That's not my point at all. But it is all valuable intel while you're assessing the game if you want to use it. And there you have it. If you like what you see, go ahead and subscribe. Otherwise, we will see you.